Saving 50% of your income is not an easy step to achieve. If you take a look at my fire checklist that I created a few years ago, just like everyone else, I started with step one, which is to calculate your financial independence numbers so that you know how much you need to invest each month, each year, and how much you'll collect from your pension so that you can retire early. I also spent about 2 years between steps two and four to pay off over $110,000 in consumer debt and achieve financial solvency. Before step four of my fire checklist, I saved between $1,500 and $2,000 in my rainy day fund for step two, which is to have enough cash to cover any deductibles like car insurance, homeowners insurance, and medical insurance. I also contributed to my 401k, but only up to the employer match. So I contributed 6% of my gross income to my 401k, and my employer contributed 3% of my gross income to my 401k. You should never, ever leave free money on the table. After I did all that, then I started my debt free journey to pay off over $110,000 in consumer debt between my car loans, credit cards, a 401k loan, and a personal loan. I'm going to talk more in depth about that in the future live stream, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't done that already. But I can't achieve solvency without accomplishing step five. When I paid off my debt in 2016, I spent another 5 to 6 months building up my cash reserves. And the first priority was to max out my emergency fund to have financial solvency in my household. I didn't want to go back into debt again. If I ever became unemployed for a variety of reasons, if you think your job is safe, trust me, it never is. And back in 2017, I wasn't married. So I saved about 6 months of my expenses in a high yield savings account. And now that I'm married, I am more comfortable with saving between 3 and 4 months of expenses because if I ever lose my job, we'll still be able to live off of my wife's income. And everyone's situation is different. So you need to do what's right for you and your household to achieve financial solvency. Once you've completed step five, the next step is to start working on your long term financial stability. Investing in your Roth IRA, HSA, and 401k is what you'll need to do to make sure that you don't become broke when you're 60 years old. Whether you're on the financial independence journey or not, that's what you need to prioritize on. I know a lot of you in my comment section say that you want to have fun while you're still alive. You can absolutely have fun while you're investing in long-term retirement accounts. And you can't tell me that you know what's exactly going to happen to you when you're in your 60s. No one can predict the future, but you can insure yourself to make sure you have enough money to live on your investments and pensions. My priority is to max out my HSA, Roth IRA, and then the 401k in that order. I encourage you to check out my YouTube playlist labeled HSA, Roth IRA, and 401k on my main YouTube page. And once you've accomplished step 6 and 7, then you're going to start working on your early retirement if that's what you want. And I get that some people just want to keep working until they're 60, and that's completely okay. And I personally want to be done working at age 45, but even if you don't want to retire early, you can always start building generational wealth now. And that could be the 529 college savings plan, UPMA or UGMA, or taxable investment accounts. And I'm going to show you the early retirement calculator in the next segment of this live stream. But it's important that you prioritize your long-term investments like the 401k, Roth IRA, and HSA before you even start investing in your early retirement. Our number one priority is to get the employer match with the 401k. And once we get the employer match, then I move on to the HSA and contribute up to the maximum. The next one is our Roth IRA for each for me and my wife. After we max out our Roth IRA and HSA, then we go back to our 401k to maximize the rest of the contribution. Then we move on to the taxable investment accounts for our early retirement. And this is my investment timeline. Now I'm going to be 37 years old this year. So I'm over 6 years into my FIRE journey. This is the most important bracket of my timeline because I want to make sure I have the assets and income for the rest of my life and not have to rely on Social Security because we all know that it can go away at any time. And I was 31 years old when I started maxing out my Roth IRA and Roth 401k because it's going to have long term growth, right? And I actually didn't get to start investing in my HSA until 2022 because I wasn't eligible for the high deductible health plan until then. Keep in mind that I'm not touching any of these investments until at least I'm 59 and a half. Even when I retire early at age 45, the investments in my Roth IRA, HSA, and 401k will continue to grow with compounding interest. This is why I'm maximizing my retirement contribution every single year until I retire early. So the year 2041 is when I'm eligible to withdraw from my 401k, TSP, and Roth IRA. And I already did the math on these with my compound interest calculator. And again, you can download all of my spreadsheets for absolutely free by visiting firesitchat.com/resources. I should have about $1.9 million dollars between the 401k and TSP. My wife and I are going to have roughly $3.5 million dollars in our Roth IRAs. And I'm also going to have my military pension starting at age 58 for serving in the reserve with some active duty time. And if you retire on active duty, then obviously you'll start collecting a pension as soon as you retire. But that's not the case for me because I'm going to be retiring as a reservist. My wife's going to be collecting her state pension at the age of 55 with the possibility to buy back some time if Social Security is still going to be around. And I'd be happy to start collecting early at age 62. I'm also going to start collecting my federal employee pension at age 62. And I am projecting that my wife and I can collectively receive over $100,000 a year in total retirement pensions. But again, that's not until I'm at least 62 years old to have those projections, right? And lastly, we should have enough in our HSA or health savings account to pay for our medical expenses throughout our retirement. And we can actually use the HSA to pay for any expenses starting at the age of 65. And you can watch my HSA investment strategy linked in the description below. And when I retire early, I should have enough passive income streams from my taxable investment accounts with dividend stocks, growth stocks to live on the earnings and interest, and enough cash reserves and rental income to pay for any additional expenses. Starting at age 50, I'll be eligible to withdraw from the Roth IRA conversions that I make from traditional 401k with the 5-year rule. I also did an extensive video on that, so be sure to check it out in the description below. So from now until I reach FIRE at 45, I'm always going to prioritize my retirement accounts because if I fail to reach my FIRE number by the time I'm 45 years old, I can still count on my 401k, HSA, and Roth IRA to continue to grow until I'm 60 years old. Who knows? Maybe I want to continue to build my business and something else might come along the line where I want to be more ambitious and build a financial empire. Who knows, right? And I can't tell you what's going to happen 5, 10, and 20 years from now. But, going back to this, what I can tell you is that I have 2 taxable brokerage accounts that I invest in index funds, ETFs, and individual stocks. One of them is in individual dividend investments, and the other one is in growth investments for my early retirement. I also diversify my assets with real estate and business, and this is my business, right? But those are completely separate entities. And as you can see on top, I'm always going to invest in my long-term investments while I work on my early retirement investments. And for my early retirement investments, the first and foremost is figuring out how much I need from age 45 until age 60. If you're retiring at age 50, then you need to figure out your income streams for those years. And I've decided that my expenses will be at least $110,000 a year because I'm looking to travel and live in several places overseas and stateside. But not everyone needs that much. I probably don't even need that much to retire early, to be honest with you. Having $3.7 million dollars for me would be plenty of money to retire early. That's my fat FIRE number adjusted for inflation. So if your FIRE number is $1 million right now, you need to keep in mind that $1 million today won't be the same 10 years from now because you will lose some purchasing powers over time, except for my mortgage payments though, because my debt becomes cheaper over time with inflation while the equity in my home increases. which is why it's the very last step of my financial independence checklist. And it's also going to depend on the location that you're going to be in. So your fire number might be higher if you're living in the city, right? Retiring in New York City or California is going to be a lot different than retiring in Spokane, Washington, or in Idaho or Arizona, right? And I would also argue. Let me go back to the mortgage for a second here. I would argue that keeping a mortgage loan is actually not a bad thing as long as it doesn't exceed 25% of your income. Investing the difference in my 20s, 30s, and 40s mathematically makes sense with a long-term investment plan. And I think a lot of people in 2020 and 2021 just overpay for their homes and now they're paying too much in mortgage payments. However, keeping your student loans, personal loans, 401k loans, or credit card debt doesn't apply in this situation because you're essentially paying back debt that has no appreciating value like owning a home. And I would also argue that if you're in your 50s, you want to become more risk averse with holding on to your mortgage debt. And when I'm in my 50s, I'm looking to have my mortgage paid off to reduce my liabilities so that if my physical or mental health deteriorates for whatever reason, then I won't need to worry about the mortgage payments, right? Let me show you the other early retirement strategy here, which is the 5-year conversion ladder with the Roth IRA. And I'm going to have some money in my traditional 401k from the employer match and the contributions that I made many years ago. I'm making the Roth conversions during my retirement or early retirement because my taxable income is going to be a lot lower than my income now. So age 45 is the best time for me to make these conversions when I retire early with a 12% marginal tax rates versus 24% right now. And because of the 5-year rule, every year I make a Roth IRA conversion, I have to wait 5 years to make a tax-free withdrawal, right? So when I start at the age of 45, I can start making the withdrawal at age 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and so on. It just depends on how many years you're going to make the Roth IRA conversion. Let me just give you the breakdown here. So this is my early retirement strategy. I'm looking to retire early at the age of 45. So my taxes will be a lot lower than what I pay now, right? I'm going to have roughly $500,000 in my traditional 401k when I'm 45 years old. I'm going to convert $50,000 a year for the next 10 years, but not counting my interest and earnings. For the first 5 years of my early retirement, between the ages of 45 and 49, I'm going to convert $50,000 a year, but I can't make any withdrawals yet because I have to wait 5 years to take the $50,000 out every year, tax-free and penalty-free. That makes sense, right? I also don't want to convert the entire $500,000 or it's going to be, the taxes are going to be insane. That's why I'm doing spreading them apart by 10 years. So every year, $50,000 for 10 years, that taxes will be a lot lower by doing it that way. In the second 5 years of my early retirement, between the ages of 50 and 54, I'm going to continue to convert $50,000 a year. And I'm also going to be able to take out $50,000 tax-free and penalty-free every year. So I'm going to have $50,000 in tax-free income starting at the age of 50 while I'm still converting that $50,000 every year from my traditional 401k. But keep in mind that I still have to pay my income tax, like I said earlier, on the $50,000 conversion every year. And I'm hoping to keep that around 12% in the marginal tax rate. And that makes sense so far, right? And hopefully it should be 22% at the most. And starting at the age of 55, because I don't have anything left in my traditional 401k, I'm just going to be making the $50,000 tax-free and penalty-free withdrawal until I'm 59 years old. I'm not making any conversions anymore, but that's okay because at age 59 and a half, I'm going to be eligible to withdraw from my Roth 401k, TSP, or Roth IRA tax-free and penalty-free. This is why you need to have your investment timeline figured out before you even start investing in financial independence. And I'm going to show you the financial independence calculator in the next segment of this live stream. So be sure to stay tuned. And this is why maximizing your 401k contributions is very important in the early stage of your life. It's not possible for me to make these conversions and take tax-free withdrawals in my 50s if I didn't contribute to my 401k, right? That could be your TSP, 403b, 457, whatever that might be. I've been following every step of my own financial independence checklist since I started my debt free journey in 2014 and my FIRE journey in 2016. You have to first create financial solvency in your household by getting out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. Then you have to work on creating financial stability to invest in your long term investments. Once you achieve all of that, then you start working on your early retirement investments. And I encourage you to download my financial independence resources for absolutely free by visiting firesidechat.com/resources. And if you need to schedule a coaching session with me, you can visit firesidechat.com/coaching. And those sessions do fill up fast. Last one that just came out was on June 15th, and that got filled up within like 2 days. So be sure to check back on my calendar website if you don't see any available appointment slots now, because they're only available 30 calendar days into the future.